I'd like to call the special meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 7:01. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Withers, would you please read the special meeting notice for tonight?
I certainly will. April 23rd, 2018. 2, members of the Honorable Municipal Council from Paul Heroux, Mayor. Councilors, by authority of Article 3, Section 3-5B of the Attleboro Home Rule Charter, I hereby call a special meeting of the Municipal Council as follows. Date, Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. Time, 7 p.m. Place, Council Chambers. The purpose is to present the fiscal year 2019 general government budget and fiscal year 2019 enterprise budgets and any other matter that may legally come before your honorable body. Excuse me. Sincerely, Paul Heroux, Mayor.
Thank you. So 2 things we'll be doing this evening. The first is I've invited the mayor and Barry Lacasse to come down and present the next fiscal year budget, and then after the presentation we will do the mayor's communication, the emergency measures, and then we will go into executive session. So that's the order of business tonight. And the mayor is here to present his budget message. We'll have plenty of opportunity for questions regarding the details of the budget. When we get to that point, the purpose of tonight is to present the budget to this honorable body and the related message. So with that said, Mr. Mayor, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. President, and through you, thank you to the council. So I have with me my budget message, and I'd like to first start off by saying, giving credit where credit's due. City Budget Director Barry Lacasse has been outstanding to work with. I've really enjoyed working with him, learning from him. He's been through this many times before, and you know, he's been absolutely invaluable, and it's been a real pleasure to work with. So I just wanted to make sure I start off by saying that. And so I shall now read the budget message, which is in the budget that you'll all be getting a copy of, and then I'm going to read the enterprise fund budget message as well. And that's, Dear President Cooper and Honorable Municipal Councilors, I am submitting this annual budget for the City of Attleboro fiscal year 2019. My main 2 budget priorities were, number 1, no layoffs for the school department or any city department, and number 2, to hire an economic development director. The first priority, to avoid layoffs, was critical to maintain morale and a minimum workforce to deliver city services to residents. It's important to note that no city department is adequately funded. Every city department could use more staff, equipment, and improved and/or more facilities. With respect to the second priority, it's my expectation that an economic development director will help Attleboro's economy grow by recruiting new businesses to our city. With a full-time economic development director recruiting new businesses to Attleboro, we will increase our revenues obtained from businesses. This is a reasonable expectation supported by the experience of other communities retaining an economic development director. Hiring an economic development director will create a prosperous future, and this is the basis for some of the decisions made in this budget. With these 2 priorities established, I'm happy to report that we are delivering a balanced budget that will not result in any layoffs to any city department, and we are budgeting for an economic development director. I'm going to say EDD going forward, it's quicker. With no increases to water, wastewater, or trash rates or any city fees, we are presenting this balanced budget. This budget totals $131,178,494.38 and represents a 1.94% increase over the FY 2018 revised budget. Balancing a city budget when no city department is adequately funded is challenging. Not only did each city department head make sacrifices, the budget director offered numerous solutions to help close the initial deficit we faced. These solutions are probably better called sacrifices. I'm pleased to report that collaboration was excellent with the school department. The school department was very responsive to the request for information and open to ideas on how we can avoid layoffs. It is important to note that the school department is level funded and is not able to provide all of the services that it would like to provide and need to provide. This can be said of all city departments. Education continues to be the largest expense in the city, representing 56% of the total funds raised for FY19. The school department initially requested an initial $3.5 million, which represents a 4.9% increase over their FY18 budget. We started this budget season $1.9 million in the red, but were able to level fund the schools, all the while only taking in $1.6 million in new taxes. The school department worked with the city budget director to find at least $185,000 expenses that will be paid for by alternative means within the school department. Moreover, I've asked the school department to consider suspending non-essential capital improvements. Considering the city is building a new high school, this further reduced the need for additional funds. These non-essential capital improvements for the existing high school, these are things that would not compromise the safety or security of any of the kids. Those are the ones that we're talking about. However, these maneuvers were not enough to balance a budget with no layoffs. These were, and clearly the money had to be taken from, one, other city departments, from number two, payments on debts, and three, other projected revenues. For example, the feasibility study for the new high school cost about $1.5 million. The state paid for about half of that, and to help balance this budget, I decided that we amortize the balance of the feasibility study of the $450,000 and pay for it over the course of time, as opposed to a one-time payment this year and just paying it off. That does mean that we pay more in interest over the course of time. However, we avoid layoffs. Other times, we reduced spending on various departments, operating expenses, and even shifted money to pay for the step increases and raises in employee salaries. Additionally, the election department was faced with a situation. The election department requested another employee. In FY17, the department needed to lay off an employee to reduce the layoffs from the school department. We were able to fund one part-time employee for the remainder of FY18 using existing election department money, and we were able to budget this part-time position for FY19. It's my hope that we will be able to turn this position into a full-time offering for FY19 rather than lose the institutional knowledge that the election department staff offers. With respect to the EDD, it was decided that we will start funding this position in October, which is a reflection of the realistic timeline in which we hope to hire someone and a reflection of the need to save money everywhere to avoid layoffs. It's important that my administration offers a budget that is as lean as possible. Accordingly, the budget director and I met with each city department head and reviewed their budget, which resulted in making cuts in several departments over last year's allocation. I believe it's roughly about 11 or 12 city departments are actually funded less in the upcoming fiscal year than they were last year. Concerning the city's debt, my philosophy is pretty straightforward. Capital that is used over the course of time should be paid for over the course of time. There are some projects and capital expenses that are cost prohibitive to acquire through the operating budget, and therefore we must bond for their acquisition. As it turns out, the city has numerous capital improvements that are needed to appropriately provide city services to residents and visitors. However, we do not have the debt capacity to acquire all needed capital improvements. Currently, the city uses about 2.8% of its operating budget to pay for debt service, while the balance is used for operating expenses. While on the face of it, the low debt has advantages, it also comes at a cost of letting larger projects not getting done. Money used for non-debt service related operating budget expenses is not being used on more expensive critical capital needs. In fact, once we retire debt and dedicate the retired debt service to operating expenses, we have lost the ability to fulfill capital needs. On the flip side, if we take on too much debt, it places limits on what we can do in the operating budget. On both extremes, both of these can be problematic. All of this is important background information, not only in understanding this budget, but also in budgets to come, as I'm going to seek to grow our city's debt capacity without harming the operating budget. To balance the budget, as in years past, we are borrowing $748,850.28 from the city's stabilization account, and will pay for that back once free cash is certified by the state later this year, and that was for snow removal. Other post-employment benefits, OPEB, contributions have remained the same, but I'm hoping to increase this in coming years, which will help the city move closer to increasing our credit rating with S&P. Additionally, we have budgeted 53 weeks of salaries so that there are no deficiencies at the end of FY19. A budget reflects obligations and priorities. This FY19 budget reflects my two main priorities of eliminating layoffs and hiring an economic development director. Our city budget director and I spent a great deal of time discussing possibilities to present this balanced budget to your honorable body. It's my hope that your honorable body will agree that this is a budget that will serve the best interest of the city, preparing us for years of service to our citizens and prosperity in our community. That concludes the budget message for the general budget, and now if I...
Thank you. Any questions for the mayor about the message before we move on to water, wastewater? Councilor Blair?
Just one quick one. I know you said no layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a hiring freeze on also?
No, I have not ordered a hiring freeze.
Okay.
No, there's no hiring freeze. As I indicated, there's no city department, and as you know,
I know
everybody
that.
knows, that's adequately funded.
Yeah.
But if revenues are made available, we want to go ahead and make the best use of those revenues, and we'll hire people as needed. No city department has enough staff or equipment, or I like to often point out that the planning department only uses about $50 a year in paper goods and supplies. So.
I understand that. I was just curious that with no layoffs, if somebody retires or moves on, you're going to replace those
absolutely.
people.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Just to clear it.
Yeah, because on the one hand, the city employees, as you all know, they provide valuable services to city residents and citizens. And on the other hand, the city employees that we have, many, if not most or all, are actually doing the job of more than one position because we don't have adequate staffing in all of the departments. So yeah, it would be critical to replace those positions. Yeah, no reservations about that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, very good.
Any other questions? Councilor Conti?
There's a lot in your message. I wish I had it in front of me to read it with you while you were reading, but it sounded to me that your budget message on capital improvements seems to be congruent with our budget message of capital improvements to you, our resolution. What stuck in my mind is that you think that in future years you're going to be working at expanding the debt obligation, which I think is an inevitability of this city and the situation that it's in. I'm looking forward to reading that and studying it and then having a conversation with you following that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
In years past, I've been told, I don't know, I know anecdotally, the debt capacity was up to about 7% of the city's operating budget. And I hope that's a true statement. Like I said, I'm reporting that anecdotally. It's my hope that, we not approach 10%, but we not hover around less than 3%. There's that happy medium. And I believe that right now we are not able to meet a lot of our capital needs because much of the many of the years past reallocated some of the existing operating budget, debt capacity to pay for the operating budget. Now, like I said in my budget message, on the one hand, it sounds nice that our debt is low. However, once we lose that debt capacity, we lose that to the operating budget, it's really difficult to get it back. So we have to wean ourselves off that. And we want a healthy debt capacity so that we can take on large capital projects.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hall?
Sure. Along with the fact that there's going to be some services or some departments that aren't going to be funded at the same level, we'll also get a list of those services that will no longer be provided because of that.
Well, fortunately, no services are being cut. So what we did was we looked at the way things have been funded in the past. We looked at how much money was used in the past and if money was fully spent as it was allocated. And there were a lot of departments that were given money in the past in FY17, FY16, FY15, and they weren't using the full amount, their full allotment. So what I did was I went ahead and took some of that money and put it in other places. So that was often on like supplies or the maintenance of vehicles. So sometimes we were over budgeting for things. Within the Office of the Mayor, for example, there were numerous organizations that we were paying thousands of dollars to that I decided to forego membership for to free up money elsewhere in the budget. So that's not a loss of services. We also had in the mayor's office previously been purchasing the entire Mass General Law every 2 years at a cost of about somewhere around the magnitude of $2,000. When I saw that, I said, oh my gosh, this is online. We don't need to pay $2,000 to have the pretty updated books in the mayor's office. And I've been here 4 months. I've never opened those books because I always just go online and use a control search function because it's faster. So there were things like that we could tinker on the margins without affecting services and without any layoffs happening. So good question though. No services are being cut.
Thank you.
Very good.
Go on to the water and wastewater.
Okay, very good.
Did you have a question?
So the water and wastewater, my message is about half the length of the other message. And I shall start with that. Dear President Cooper and honorable municipal councilors, there were no fee increases in the Department of Wastewater. Start with that. The budget for the wastewater department is $9,620,452,000.33, which represents a difference of 0.01%. The department is able to continue to operate with a healthy retained earnings fund. The importance of the retained earnings fund is to allow the department to do critical capital projects without the need to bond for these projects. I'm going to diverge just for a moment off of the written message just to say that during the month of March, when we had numerous snowstorms, water and wastewater were constantly using their retained earnings to pay for pipes burst all over the city and other projects that were going on. All of you know that because you voted on the use of the funds, from the retained earnings. But it's important that I say that just for the public to hear it as well, because I know there's a lot of people who are concerned about us having a very high water rate or a high wastewater rate. And they often point to the fact that there are large surpluses in retained earnings. And I'm saying this for the benefit of the public, though, that it's critical that we have that so that we can do these emergency repairs without having to go to bond council and bond authorization, because some of these things need to be fixed pretty much immediately. So that's a slight digression from what's on this, but that was for as you all know, that was for the benefit of the public to hear. But the 4 largest projects, I do want to talk about where the retained earnings are going, and I want to briefly mention the 4 largest projects. The wastewater project fund 3219, and this fund includes the new sludge landfill storage building, heavy equipment, capping of existing landfill, demolition of the old treatment plant. Currently, it is well beyond the life expectancy and capacity of the existing sludge landfill, making this project a high priority for the wastewater department. The total project estimate is $7.4 million. Second one out of 4 is the gravity thickener fund. This is ongoing and expected to be completed this month of May. This gravity thickeners are crucial to our solids processing operation, and without all 3 units operational, we cannot handle the volume of sludge we need to process. Wastewater has included rebuilding of the remaining 2 gravity thickeners in our capital improvements plan. The total project estimate for this is $241,000. The second stage, the 3rd out of 4, the second stage lift pumps valve replacement. This project is ongoing. Bids for construction closed on April 20th, and wastewater is in the review process before awarding the bid. This project will allow wastewater to isolate the second stage lift pumps so they may perform needed maintenance, and all the flow entering the facility must be pumped by the second stage lift pumps, making their maintenance crucial to the operation of the facility. The total project estimate is about $409,000. The 4th out of 4 projects in wastewater is the final paving of the intersection at South Main and Mill Street, which is just right around the corner from here. This is part of the emergency sewer main replacement project on these streets. The contractor is waiting for Verizon to replace their manhole, which had to be removed to allow access to the sewer main during construction. Once the manhole has been replaced, they will complete the paving. The total project estimate for this is $432,000. So that's my budget message and some of the uses of the retained earnings for the wastewater department. And if you would like, I can answer some questions now or move on to the water department.
I would
Mr. President.
move on to the water.
Okay, very good. So the budget for the water department is $6,912,000, $100.19, which represents a difference of 0.78% from FY18. There was no fee increase in the Department of Water, and the department is able to continue to operate with a healthy retained earnings fund. The importance of the retained earnings fund is to allow the department to do critical capital projects without the need to bond for these projects. And basically, my brief digression earlier that I was talking about retained earnings with wastewater is pretty much identical to the water department as well. And I'm going to talk about the three largest projects that the water department is currently engaged in, because this is where a lot of the retained earnings go, but also we do bond for some of these projects. The Luther Pumping Station rehabilitation. This pumping station is an integral part of the system, as Manchester Reservoir, the largest reservoir in Attleboro's water system, is filled almost exclusively from pumping water from Luther. Luther Station was showing signs of severe age and deterioration in nearly all of its structure and equipment, and were it to fail, the city would be unable to fill Manchester Reservoir. The total project estimate is $2.36 million. The second of three is Blake's Pond Dam replacement. The operation of the filter beds at the Wading River plant, and in turn the plant itself, is nearly dependent on the ability to impound water in Blake's Pond and in order to maintain adequate water levels in the filter beds. The old sheet pile dam has deteriorated, with voids in the dam 8 inches or more in diameter, making it difficult to maintain levels in Blake's Pond. The total project estimate is about $633,000. The final of the three large projects for the water department is the Pawtucket Emergency Interconnection. Read this, then I'll digress. The project is currently in design. This future connection will be able to provide Attleboro residents with drinking water in emergencies such as extended drought, failure of a storage tank, failure of a treatment plant, or a major distribution system failure. Total design contract is $197,000. There is an additional $202,000 remaining in the fund for the pilot study once the station is completed, and the total construction estimate is about $1.35 million, and it's expected to begin in the late summer to fall. Now, if I may digress for just a moment, there was some chatter, if you will, in the community about why we are going to seek to get water from Pawtucket. And I agree with the decision that Mayor Dumas made to pursue this project, because there have been problems in the past where our own Manchester Reservoir was running very low. This project is basically a backup for Attleboro's water supply. So it was to the credit of Mayor Dumas, this was a wise move and one that I support. And like I said, I mentioned this publicly. I believe all of you know that, but I mentioned this for the benefit of the community, because there were some people who were critical of getting water from Pawtucket, but this was a needed investment. So with that, I have completed the budget message for the enterprise systems, and I'm happy to take questions about the enterprise message.
Does anybody have questions about the message? Councilor
It's actually a comment. So I just want to congratulate you both on the first budget, and it's a balanced budget nonetheless. I look forward over the upcoming weeks working with the both of you on this along with the council. I'll have a finalized schedule probably by Thursday at the latest of all the hearings and really the way I'm looking to lay everything out. But thank you for the presentation and thank you for the budget. Congratulations, rather, on your first budget.
Any other questions to the mayor? Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.
We will go on to the, Barry pass those out first. And then
Got it, Julie?
Mr. Cooper, I'm reading, no number first.
Right,
And two
then number two, yes. So we'll go on to the reading of the mayor's first communication.
May 8th, 2018, dear municipal councilors, I respectfully submit to your honorable body the City of Attleboro's general government annual budget for fiscal year 2019.
Budget and appropriations, please. And Mr. Chairman, would you like to call for a public hearing on May 29th?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Aye, thank you. Motion passes. We'll have a public hearing for the budget on May 29th.
Thank you.
And that is going to be referred to budget and appropriations.
Okay. I respectfully request your honorable body, under the provisions of Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, as amended, to approve the expenditure limits for the following revolving funds outlined under Chapter 20 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro for fiscal year 2019. Fund 2601, police replacement of vehicles, $280,000. Fund 2602, off-street parking, $250,000. Fund 2603, protective inspection services, $75,000. Fund 2604, residential special waste disposal, $700,000. Fund 2606, Council on Aging, $20,000. Fund 2607, Cape and Park Zoo, $1,500,000. Fund 2609, fire alarm system testing, $40,000. Fund 2610, fire ambulances, $1,100,000. Fund 2611, health immunization, $10,000. Fund 2614, recreation, $200,000. Fund 2615, animal welfare, $6,000. Fund 2616, police false alarm, $50,000. Fund 2618, animal shelter building, $15,000. And Fund 2619, fingerprinting, $5,000.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I respectfully request your honorable body to approve the solid waste fee of $23.91 per unit to be credited to Fund 2604, residential special waste disposal for fiscal year 2019. We have been able to provide solid waste services at no increased cost in the rate structure.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
With reference to the Title V Betterment Loan Program, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $5,669 from Fund 2500, Receipts Reserved for Appropriation, Title V Reserve Fund, to the General Fund for provide program funding for fiscal year 2019.
Budget and Appropriations Committee.
I am pleased to present your honorable body the proposed water and wastewater enterprise budgets for fiscal year 2019.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please. And Mr. Chairman, would you like to call for a public hearing for May 29th?
Yes, please, Mr. President.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
For your information, we have been able to provide water services at no increased cost in the rate structure. Therefore, there is no need to change the ordinance for the water rate for fiscal year 2019.
Budget and Appropriations, please.
I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $245,000 from account Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to fund the fiscal year 2019 water enterprise budget.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
For your information, we have been able to provide wastewater services at no increased cost in the rate structure. Therefore, there is no need to change the ordinance for the wastewater rate for fiscal year 2019.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $109,504.27 from account Wastewater Enterprise Fund retained earnings to fund the wastewater betterment share of debt in the fiscal year 2019 budget.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
As you are aware, a portion of the Water and Wastewater Enterprise fiscal year 2019 budgets includes an indirect cost allocation that is used to pay for costs incurred within the general government budget. In accordance with the indirect rates established by the Abrams Group, I hereby request your honorable body to transfer $774,259.34 from Fund 6100, Water Enterprise Fund, to the General Government Fund to fund the indirect costs for fiscal year 2019. The dollar amount presented is from the fiscal year 2019 budget book. Please note this figure excludes the OPEB contribution and all debt expenses. I also hereby request your honorable body to transfer $603,687.92 from Fund 6000, Wastewater Enterprise Fund, to the General Government to provide funding for the indirect cost for the fiscal year 2019 budget. The dollar amount presented is from the fiscal year 2019 budget book. This required transfer also includes the OPEB contribution and the expenses associated with the debt.
I think you said includes, but it's actually excludes the OPEB contribution and the expenses associated with it.
I am sorry. This required transfer also excludes the OPEB contribution and the expenses associated with that.
Thank you. Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
In order to cover the fiscal year 2018 snow deficit, I respectfully request your honorable body appropriate $748,850.28 from Fund 8455 Stabilization Fund to the fiscal year 2019 general government budget. It is my intention to return these funds back to the Stabilization Fund once free cash is certified in the fall of 2018.
Budget and Appropriations, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Personnel Director Owen Bebo regarding the need to reclassify the position of Recreation Program Director from Grade 3 to Grade 5 on the exempt classification plan. The Recreation Director's duties and responsibilities have grown substantially since its inception in 2012. The reclassification better reflects the position as it exists today and into the future. I fully support this recommendation and ask that your honorable body approve this change. Copies in your packets.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Heroux, Mayor.
Thank you. Would you kindly read the mayor's communication number 2?
Yes, sir. May 8th, 2018, number 2. Dear municipal councilors, I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Thomas Hayes, 27 Sagamore Road, Attleboro, to fill a 3-year term of Superintendent of Wastewater, term to expire February 2021. Mr. Hayes was offered the position with the City of Attleboro on May 2nd, 2018, with a start date of May 7th, 2018, under a temporary 90-day appointment in accordance with Section 3.3B of the Attleboro Home Rule Charter. Resume in your packets.
Thank you. Personnel and Human Services, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Public Works, Michael Tyler, regarding the need to replenish funds that were previously expended due to emergency repairs to traffic signals at Pleasant/Park and Union Streets. Internal transfers were completed in order to put in an emergency purchase order to make these repairs. Additionally, an internal transfer was made from the citywide lights and power in order to complete the troubleshooting and repair the pedestrian buttons in PED LED lighting for crosswalks at these intersections. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $13,337.50 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to the following accounts: $7,000 to account Public Works Maintenance Street Painting, $3,000 to account Public Works Professional Services, $837.50 to account Public Works Vehicle Maintenance, $2,500 to account Citywide Lights and Power. Upon approval, the available balance in Reserve Fund for transfer will be $74,768.38. Copies in your packets. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency measure.
Public Works Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Wastewater Thomas Hayes regarding the need for funds to purchase and install a new emergency generator. The existing generator at the Bear Court Drive sewer pump lift station has failed and must be replaced. At this time, if a power failure occurs at the station, there is the potential for a sewer backup. However, to avoid this situation, the plant electrician temporarily wired the portable emergency generator into the station, and if a power failure does occur, the station will continue to function. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $24,570 from account Wastewater Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account Wastewater Enterprise Fund generator replacement. The cost of this project includes a 17% contingency. Copies in your packet. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this an emergency.
Public Works Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Heroux, Mayor.
So we will now go immediately into committee reports. The only committee reporting tonight is Public Works, and we'll recognize Councilor Jackson.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Reporting for Public Works Committee from the docket of May 15, 2018, I move to adopt the following emergency preamble: that the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the City Charter, Section 2-9B, regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the request of the Mayor to transfer $13,337.50 from account 1124100-5783000 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer relative to emergency repairs to traffic signals at Pleasant Park and Union Street to the following accounts: excuse me, $7,000 to account 1420100-524001, Public Works Maintenance Street Painting, $3,000 to account 1420100-530101, Public Works Professional Services, $837.50 to account 1420100-524230, Public Works Vehicle Maintenance, and $2,500 to account 1124100-521020, Citywide Lights and Power. Due to time constraints involved, payment is due May 18th. Ooh, that's next week. The nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as approved in the city charter.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Jackson.
Well, we will have, obviously, two motions. This is one. We'll have two for each of these motions because it's an emergency preamble. And I have as much information as all of you do, so whatever questions you have, read on.
Any other questions? This is on the emergency preamble. It requires a 2/3 roll call vote. The vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of May 15, 2018, I move to approve the request of the mayor as an emergency measure to transfer $13,337.50 from account, can I do the account numbers, Mr. President? Or-
Yes. No,
okay.
you don't, no. You don't have to.
Okay, thank you. Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer relative to emergency repairs to traffic signals at Pleasant Park and Union to the following accounts. $7,000 to the Public Works Maintenance Street Painting account, $3,000 to the Public Works Professional Services account, $837.50 to the Public Works Vehicle Maintenance account, and $2,500 to the Citywide Lights and Power account.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Jackson.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, this requires a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Council Hall.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
No. Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you. From the docket of May 15, 2018, I move to adopt the following emergency preamble. That the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in the City Charter, Section 2-9B, regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the request of the mayor to appropriate $24,570 from account 6000-359000 Wastewater Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account 6000-587050 Wastewater Enterprise Fund generator replacement relative to funding needed to purchase and install a new emergency generator at the Bear Court Drive sewer pump lift station. Due to the time constraints involved, payment is due May 18, 2018. The nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as proved in the city charter.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Jackson.
Well, I just wouldn't want to have to see any type of a sewer backup anywhere in the city of Attleboro, because that would be absolutely disgusting.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just very quick, just because I'm just kind of reading the memo now, my request would be, when circumstances like this happen, perhaps we could have a date in the memo on the day on when these kind of things happen, so then we know how long we're precariously balancing, and this, for the record, it does contain a 17% contingency for these fundings, so.
Which is always good, because I know we did all get a memo today from Deb Gould with regards to some capital improvements that are happening with the water and the wastewater, so we are getting money put back into those accounts because of that contingency, because a lot of those projects have ended.
Sure.
So that's good.
Any other questions or comments on the emergency preamble? Hearing none, this requires a 2/3 roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of May 15, 2018, I move to approve the request of the mayor as an emergency measure to appropriate $24,570 from the wastewater enterprise fund retained earnings account to the wastewater enterprise fund generator replacement account relative to funding need to purchase and install a new emergency generator at the Bear Court Drive sewer pump lift station.
Second?
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Jackson.
No other comments? Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, this requires a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Councilor Hall.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Delisio.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, President Cooper. I have no further business this evening, but I would like to call for a committee meeting at the appropriate time next week. That's what I would say.
Oh, if you don't have anything tonight. So at this time, I move to enter into an executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, taking, or lease of real property because public discussion may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the city. Members of the municipal council, the mayor, the budget and administration director, director of planning and development, city assessor, clerk of the council, and council administrative assistant are asked to gather in the annex room, and the council will return to open session at the conclusion of the executive session.
Second?
Thank you. Motion is in order. We do have to roll call vote, Councilor Blair, before you go, and the vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Delisio.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. So we are entering executive session, 7:43 p.m. Thank you. That's all right. You said it.
Going quicker now for the big time, huh?
Gee, I consider myself pretty small.
I would, coming back from executive session, there were no votes taken as part of the executive session, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting this evening.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
The council is adjourned at 8:53, and we will go into committee meetings.
Traffic and transportation is canceled for this evening?
Public safety emergency management is canceled.
Budget is canceled, however, just for everyone to know, I will be sending out a finalized schedule of budget hearings by probably Thursday at the latest. My plan is to do as much as we can on Tuesday nights, as opposed to having 3 nights throughout the week.
We have to bring it up.
Reporting for Public Works Committee, I'd like to call Public Works Committee to order at 8:54. I have just 2 motions to bring out, and I first would like to thank you very much for entertaining the gentleman that came last Tuesday night to speak on behalf of those 2 poles to be erected by National Grid. I appreciate you taking care of that while I was on the beach.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Firstly, for the docket of April 17th, 2018, I entertain a motion to approve from National Grid and Verizon requesting permission to erect pole number 3445-84 and maintain poles and wires at the east side of 3445 Hickory Road.
Second.
Thank you. There was nobody here to speak in opposition that evening, so I am bringing this motion forward. Any questions, comments?
The only thing they said when they were here is that these 2 poles, they're changing the poles out because they used to be tethered to the guide wire was in a tree.
I saw that when I watched your reruns.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Secondly, I entertain a motion to approve from National Grid and Verizon requesting permission to erect pole 4969-84 and maintain poles and wires on the north side of 4969 Maple Street.
Second.
Thank you. Again, nobody was here to speak in opposition. We did have someone here from National Grid speak on behalf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:55. Thank you very much.
If I
You can do
might,
that next week.
Capital
I
improvements and
want
city
to
developments.
announce this. All right, and if Mr. Kovac has got a question for me, you don't feel you can ask me other than in your semester, I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. So I'd like to call yeah. I'd like to call Public Safety Emergency Management to order at 8:55. Mr. Kovac.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I had a constituent reach out, and I know that in the Public Safety Committee, there's some old business on there that says the following proposal relative to the practice of hunting on public lands and private property in Attleboro without the permission of the landowner, basically asking for written permission to hunt on private property. I was wondering if we could bring that out, or
You want me to give you a quick synopsis?
I would love that. Yes.
And then we'll end it on
Sure.
that. I've researched it. I've gone through it. I will more than likely strike that matter. I'll bring it to strike at a later date, but it isn't gone. I know you've had calls.
Sure.
Right? And it hasn't gone unnoticed. I've looked into it. And when something's given to committee, it's for study and recommendation. In the previous committee, they studied it and recommend. He's got some recommendations to come forward. So, no disrespect for you, but
No, and I would, on the surface, it sounds very logical to me, but so if there's some background information, I would love to see that. If you can share it through Virginia, I'd be very interested to see that.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Blair. Todd, we had a public forum where we had the state come in And it was super fascinating and very, there were people here that are in opposition to hunting, and there are people here that are, supporters of hunting. But we had the gentleman come down. Actually, I think I still have his business card in here. I'll find it. I'll give that to you if you wanted to give him a call. But I would also research AACS because they were here that day and recorded it. So I would
Sunday,
take.
16, I think.
I will go into a little bit more detail. I intended to, and I realize you were getting calls. You're not the only one. I'm up there with a big target. I got an arrow target on my back.
But I would strongly recommend that you make that phone call. I would also contact the state, DP and, the hunting regulators and have conversations with them over, what is necessary to regulate, like that particular piece of business. If a homeowner wants to get, I'm not sure if we want to make that a requirement of the homeowner to give that written permission. Like I don't think that that's anything that we should have to legislate, truth be told. And there are people that are going to hunt legally and not, so.
Please.
You got it, Pete.
All right. We'll cut it at that point for now. All right. And one other matter I'd like to.
I have a comment on that.
Yeah.
For you, Pete, there was an opinion that we'll all get that will be.
I seen that.
Right, that is consistent with what the Conservation Commission told us. Now, two conservation agents told us essentially the same thing, and now the solicitor said the same thing. So
They have a right to do with but they got to post it themselves like an ordinary citizen that doesn't want somebody to hunt on their land. It's got to be posted.
right. So
They've been notified of that, Mr. President.
Absolutely.
I got no further comment on that.
And I think reviewing that is important, and then I think just having a conversation about what your plan is.
I intend to.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Put my glasses on so I can read this. This is just a friendly reminder. I've had enough arguing for tonight and voices being raised. A week from this Saturday, the annual, it's on the 19th, the fire department, the union, is having their annual breakfast at the fire station. It's a great thing. They do an awful lot for the community. The people that gather there for breakfast, it's great. The firefighters, they get a kick out of it themselves. I would urge my fellow members and also constituents throughout the city to show up and show their support for them as well. It's a great breakfast. And the price is right. So I was contacting, I said I'd mention it tonight, and I'll try to mention it again next week, so.
What was the date
It's
again?
held at the Union Fire Station, and it's the 19th. It's held from 8 o'clock, so where is it? From 8 to 10. And they usually have a boot out, but they're not looking for tremendous donations. This is something that they want to do for the community.
Pancakes are this big.
Huh?
I said and the pancakes are like this big.
Oh, it's great breakfast, great breakfast. But, yeah, I just wanted to mention that, so it gets a little bit of free advertisement when they get out there. A lot of people don't realize it's coming up. Yes, Mr. DeLisle?
Great opportunity for the kids to come down, spend some
Yeah.
time, get to know the firefighters, but also hang out and see some of the
Get on the
equipment.
trucks,
Yeah, so it's good
and
times.
hopefully we don't get a call while breakfast is going on. That's happened.
It's happened before.
I'm sorry I exposed Todd, but that'll be taken care of, believe me.
No, thank you for entertaining the discussion.
Thank you. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Capital improvement and city development is canceled.
All right, I call the zoning and land use committee to order at 9:02. One item for today, from the supplemental docket of November 21st, 2017, that the city adopted ordinance governing the operation of non-medical marijuana establishments as defined under MGL Chapter 94G, Section 1. I move to refer this to the planning board for study and recommendation.
Second.
So last week, I delivered a draft update to the ordinance to everybody and suggested people send suggestions in through Virginia, and that I would open it up to the committee to have comments today. I didn't receive anything from Virginia, so does anybody on the committee have any comments? And I have additional copies if anybody needs. Does anybody have comments? Or
Is that the draft for the?
this is the draft. It's the same as what was put in your box.
Thank you.
Not necessarily a comment. What I tend to do in these situations is I like to hear what the planning board has to say. Then when we have the public hearing, I like to get a lot of the input. So right now, I think you've done a nice job with the ordinance from what I've read. I look forward to the comments and the suggestions from the planning board.
Perfect. And so my intent is to, in addition to sending it to the planning board, to also send it to the solicitor. Once we receive feedback from the solicitor, I'll then call for a public hearing. But for right now, we're just referring this to the planning board for study and recommendations. Councilor Hall.
Yes, would this be the time to, if there was any local adoptions that we would want to have those put into this ordinance? Like if we wanted to put a percentage on number of licenses based on alcohol, is that, at this time, is that, or would we want to do that after?
That's already in there. It's
Okay.
limited to 5 licenses.
Okay, so anything that anybody wanted to, from the council, wanted adopted locally should have, yes, spoke to you.
Should have sent it through Virginia, but
Gotcha. No, just wanted to make sure that, yeah.
that's a black.
It can be amended, when this ordinance comes in, it can be amended, I mean, to a certain extent.
It's 11 pages of details. I expect it will be amended. I'm sure the solicitor will have a number of comments, I'm sure. The planning board will have a number of comments, so.
That was more to Julie than you.
No, yeah, but you want to try to get it as, I just wanted to make sure that because there were some comments made around the table as this was going on, and we wanted to make sure they were included. So the answer is yes, they were included, but you're absolutely right, things can be amended.
I know
Appreciate
with software, the earlier you can catch bugs in the software, the easier it is to make those changes. And the earlier we can make fix this and identify mistakes, the easier it is to make those
Thank you.
changes. Go ahead.
So all of a sudden my brain's not working. So we haven't called for a public hearing on that.
We have not yet.
And so any of those changes would, because we have to advertise for the content of that.
Yep.
And so at that point, it makes it a little sketchy to make the changes. So that's why I think it's great that you're referring it to planning and to Lauren to see what happens and what comes back. And then everyone can sit at home and read this and send Virginia emails to send back to you about what's something that they would like to, but now is the time to add, subtract, or whatever. But you've also been very good about giving us updates as you've gone along as
Absolutely.
well. So thank you for that.
But yes, like you said, before we have called for the public hearing is the easiest time to make those amendments. That doesn't mean we can't make amendments afterwards, but it's a lot easier to do so now. So with that said, are there any other comments before the vote? So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. And so that's all I have for the Zoning and Land Use Committee. I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Zoning and Land Use Committee is adjourned at 9:07.
Because you're her second, so if you'd like to cancel for her.
Yes, I would. License Committee is canceled this evening. Thank you. You're up.
Oh, I'm not, I thought you were telling me, this is what you usually do for me.
I already canceled.
I didn't hear that. Thank you.
I canceled, then just canceled. Peter canceled.
I'd like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 9:10. I have two. docket matters. From the docket of May 15th, 2018, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to transfer $31,864.30 from account 11241-000-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 11241-000-521030 Citywide Streetlights relative to a traffic signal repair at North Main Street and Elizabeth Street.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Does anybody have any questions, concerns? Yes. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. From the docket of May 15th, 2018, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to accept the donation of a MakerBot replicator, 5th generation 3D printer valued at $1,350 from Michael Van Hamel.
Second.
Again, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I believe this is, you know, they make like plastic things, yeah. You know, you can put them in there, and I always find this pretty entertaining, is that you can draw a picture of it or whatever, and put it in, it comes out to be something 3D. So I find that pretty amazing, giving away my age at this point. But any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great, that motion passes. And that is all the business the City Property and Claims Committee has this evening. I'd like to request an adjournment.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:11. Thank you.
I'd like to call the Personnel and Human Service Committee to order at 9:12. I only have one motion tonight. From the docket of May 15, 2018, I entertain a motion to elect Virginia Stewart, 101 South Avenue, Attleboro, as Administrative Assistant to the Municipal Council for a term of 2 years, term to end February 2020.
Second.
So this business was brought up last week. Virginia's met her 90 days, and it's just to confirm her appointment. Any questions or comments?
Just to say, I think she's doing a great job.
Thank you. So I would echo Council Reynolds' comments. It's not, perhaps that job and the president's job are not jobs you have a full appreciation for until you're sitting in the seat. And so, that said,
Or acting president.
I'm happy to, bring this forward and get some resolution to that position. It has also, I would be remiss if I didn't publicly thank Linda for coming back and helping us through not only the orientation of this position, but also the council president being new and lots of new councilors, and also thanks to Frank, who was involved in the interview and selection process, and Peter of Virginia. So thank you to everybody. This is a good thing, and it's nice to have it finally resolved. Thank you.
I would agree. I think that the role is very complex, and it does take, it's very challenging to kind of help us all stay organized, I'd say. So if there's no other comments from anyone else, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oops. Oppose? Okay, motion passes. That is all the business tonight for Personnel and Human Service, and I'll call call for adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned at 9:14 p.m. Thank you so much, and I'll call for committee next.
So what clock are you looking at? It's 9:12.
It's 2 minutes off.
It's off? Okay, so I'll say 9:15. I'll call the Ordinance, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee to order at 9:15. And on the committee is myself, Councilor Holmes, Councilor Jackson. I do have one motion, and I'm going to give some updates on a couple other things going on here. But first, I'll do my motion. I entertain a motion to strike the following item from the docket of January 16th, 2018. Communication dated January 9th, 2018, from School Committee Chairman Stephen K. Withers, Jr. regarding the request for referendum scheduled for Tuesday, May 1st, 2018, for residents to vote on the construction of a new high school.
Second.
Thank you. So we know. So I think it's time to strike this. We've had the referendum, we've had the vote, so I'm just cleaning up, doing a little administrative work. Okay. Anybody have any questions, concerns? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Right, I just want to give a couple of little updates very quickly. On the first one, the notice communicated dated April 12th from Marion Wrightington. I am in the process, I do have a couple of motions that I'm trying to just get with the solicitor to find out the proper way of doing it. But I do have a couple of things, and I did have a conversation also with the inspector who gave me some insight. So that should be coming up during the next meeting. And I just want to go back to the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro, the new business, the second one down there, February 6th. So, Mr. Conti, just so we're clarifying, we're still waiting for the procedures, your extra committee to determine some guidance on that. Is that correct, for the revised ordinance and the regularly scheduled meeting in municipal council? So that's it. I'm waiting for something to come out of your procedures committee. If that's, I just want to make sure.
We will not have rules and procedures minutes, revised rules and procedures to present to the council until July for sure.
That's okay.
We're striving to meet the deadline charge of August 1st, and I believe that we can. And you'll hear more about that shortly.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I wasn't dropping the ball on you, that we did have it in waiting. Okay, so then if we want to drop down to the docket of December 19th, we did talk about this a little bit, and that my understanding is, President Cooper, that all of this information went up to the mayor, any kind of text, that there was sort of a global, we sent transfer of this to look at all tax-exempt programs. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And what I might suggest to the chair is to reach out to the administration and schedule something for them to come before this honorable body to discuss the options that include this business, but may include other potential exemptions, so that we can continue to keep the momentum on and not lose sight of what our intention was when this business, or what Councilor Conti's intention was when he introduced this new business. So that would be my recommended next steps.
Okay, thank you, because there is another one that came to my attention. It's a senior tax exemption from the Sudbury, and so I guess the question is, should I send this up to the administration? There is a pilot program going on in Sudbury, and a number of different cities and towns have also adopted this. So I guess, should I, when I find these things, just pass it on to the...
I think that's appropriate at this point. And again, like I said, I would coordinate with the mayor's office, Mayor and Barry, to come down and present to this honorable body what potential exists across all exemptions, not just senior, and sort of where does the city stand, and then what would the impact be if we were to adopt this versus that, and then put the whole package together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just as a little FYI, I've been working with the Council on Aging to develop an elder care summary of services. It's an 18-page document right now, and actually I've given it out to some people. And what it's able to do is at least drive people to a place where they can look at where different options are available on their own, all kinds of things. You know, heating, burial assistance, everything, all kinds of things that are available there. And I'm working more with the Council on Aging to get this even much more detailed, but it is available if anybody wants it for their constituents, if you have any questions. I did spend a little work on it, but it's good. Then the last thing I would like to talk about is the Memorial Day agenda, because it's actually Memorial week and a half, I think, is what it comes down to. And we are going to be doing the flags pretty soon, and everybody got a schedule of this. So I think that's coming starting next week, next Monday. That'll start the first day. And there is a schedule, so please, if you get a chance, go out and help those folks. That's a really admirable thing to do and to get out there. I know some of the councilors do it every year. And we are going to have the Field of Flags again, and that has turned into quite an event in this community. I have people that are contacting me asking, when are you going to do the Field of Flags again, because they want to come out and help, and they had a great time. So if you get a chance to go out and see that happen, it's really nice. People that you haven't seen in a while come out there. And then, of course, the events starting Sunday, May 27th, one of the oldest ceremonies in the area is the Hillside Cemetery. Ceremony. So please, you've got that. One last thing, since I'm talking about veterans, there is an act that was just approved through the Senate in the state of Massachusetts, and it's called the BRAVE Act for Veterans. And what it does is it actually helps increase some of the benefits for some of the veterans, like, again, burial costs, things like that. So I have some extra copies of that. I just urge you to talk to your state representatives and ask them that when this comes up, to please support the BRAVE Act. Thank you. So that concludes my, yes?
One other thing, Council Hall, if I may, in addition to the administration for the tax exemptions, getting Stan sooner rather than later on the $10,000 that Councilor Conti introduced on 12/5, because he'll need that as he starts to consider other factors in tax classification and that kind of thing. So getting him to come also present to us what the impact of increasing it to the
yes.
$10,000. So one is administration, the other one was at the bottom. I'm sorry, I missed it the first time around.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It really should all be handled together because as we see so many things that we do, we try to make sure that there's not collateral damage on some of the decisions that we make. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So on that note, I would like to, I have no more business for the Ordinance, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee. I'd like to adjourn at 9:19.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're adjourned at 9:19.
I'd like to call a special committee on the council's rules and procedures to order at 9:19. Sitting on this committee is Councilor Kobus and Parika. I'd like to call for a meeting for us to work out the next section of the rules and procedures for a Thursday night, if you are available, May 24th.
That shouldn't be a problem.
I assume that's okay.
Okay, because I would like to invite President Cooper to our meeting, expressly invite President Cooper to our meeting, because we're dealing with a very thick agenda in this coming meeting. This weekend I will finish the order of motions for the rules of procedure, and that's where the rubber hits the road. So I think it's good to have the President with us to discuss this, because he's the most impacted by this work, and it truly has the potential of changing the face of the council. So I got scared when I was drafting it for us, and I really appreciate having you there.
Yeah.
Yes,
If I may,
Councilor.
May 24th is good for me.
Good.
And so, just
So we'll meet at May 24th in the side room at 7 o'clock.
sure.
Thank you. That's all the business that I have. Do you have any?
Well, I was just going to say, I believe that it is. There's some family things that are happening right now. I can tentatively agree to the 24th, so just please move forward with,
Okay.
holding the meeting, but.
Okay, good. I have no further business to bring before the committee, so I'll call for an adjournment.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. All in favor?
Aye.
I declare the council Rules and Procedures Committee adjourned at 1:01. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Jen, your meetings are scheduled already. I'm finalizing. Oh, you are. Okay, so that, the,